All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are here. This is the same day, and lost my train of thought. We are doing a book review. I am doing reviews of all the books that I have read so far this year. Let's go. So this next book it's two books that I'm going to talk about, and they're nonfiction. And my boyfriend owns the physical copies. They're his books. I read them via audiobook just because I find that nonfiction books, it's much easier for me to listen to them. I retain the information better. It's like watching a TV show, listening to a YouTube video, listening to a podcast. It sinks in my brain better. Whereas I actually don't like audiobooks for fiction because I can't keep track of who's saying what and what's going on. But anyway, so I don't have the physical copy of one book I'm going to talk about just because we've lent it to a friend. But we are talking about Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership. Both books are jointly written by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And if you don't know, both books, they kind of go together. So Extreme Ownership is like the basics, and it talks about principles of leadership in the context of like military leadership and then also business leadership. And basically, these two authors were Navy SEALs in the American Navy SEALs. And they fought, I believe, in Iran or Iraq. Don't quote me on that. It was one or the other. I get them confused. And basically, each chapter of the book, they walk us through a real life scenario of when they were over fighting the war, and they talk about the leadership tactic that was used in that situation or that should have been used but wasn't. And then they take that same leadership tactic and apply it to a real life business scenario. So like how you can apply these leadership strategies into real life, basically. And it was so well done. The military scenarios they walk you through have been edited to obviously keep certain people's names safe, to keep certain strategies in places, but the essence of what happened is still there. And I learned a lot about the war itself and about military life and strategies and like what these men and women go through in these sort of experiences. And I really enjoyed that because as a Canadian, like, we don't really get much information about those kind of things. Like in history class, we learned about World War One and World War Two. So we don't really talk about Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, that sort of thing. So it was really interesting to learn more about it, especially from the direct points of view of the two men who were there. And then they really do a great job of weaving in the leadership tactics and explaining them so well. And just, it was a wealth of knowledge, and I sucked it up like a sponge, and I just feel like I'm a better person now. Like, that might seem corny, but it really is one of those books that I feel like everybody should read, especially if you're in a leadership position. Like, there's just so much you can learn from this. If you're a manager, if you're a CEO, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent. Like, I wonder if I can find... Well, this is the Dichotomy, so this is the second book. Oh, it has maps. That would have been super useful. Yeah, so basically Extreme Ownership talks about certain principles like, I can't even get it across properly. But the dichotomy, like Extreme Ownership means like if you're the leader, like one of the things they talk about is that if you're the leader and one of your subordinates makes a mistake that screws up the whole operation, that's your fault, not their fault, because you're the leader. You're in charge. Everything that happens, good or bad, is your fault. And so it's something you failed to tell them what to do. You failed to make sure that they understood. Like, you failed to realize that they weren't ready and that sort of thing. And that might seem harsh, but you're the leader. Like, you have to lead these people, and somebody needs to own both the good and the bad things that happen. And if it's you, then, you know, every time it's like, well, that's on me. And then you find a solution. And not everybody can wrap their head around that very easily. So again, I recommend reading the book, but I found it very interesting and very, very important and integral. But the dichotomy is set up the same way, but it explains that there is an extreme side to each of their principles, and you've got to find the balance in between the two. So some of the chapter titles in this one, Own It All, but Empower Others. So that talks about extreme ownership and how, like, you own it, but you also want to give ownership to those below you so that they can also raise up. Because if they feel like, you can't let them think that they don't have any responsibility either, right? And then you have resolute but not overbearing, when to mentor versus when to fire, train hard but train smart, aggressive, not reckless, disciplined, not rigid, hold people accountable but don't hold their hands, etc. And so they really go into how you can take too much ownership just as much as you can take too little ownership. And they can be catastrophic both in battle and in the business world as well. So yeah, I definitely think that everybody should read this book, both of these books, especially Extreme Ownership, the first one, but especially if you're in any sort of leadership position. It's just really good. And yeah, so 5 stars to both of those. And I also really recommend the audiobook because they narrate it as well. So it's like, that's the guy that was there. He's talking about his story. And it was just really good. I will say, fair warning, that in the audiobook, during some of the battles that they're describing, they actually put like actual gunfire sounds into the audiobook. So if that might be triggering to you, definitely don't listen to the audiobook. I don't remember what chapters they're in. You might be able to find some sort of guide. But yeah, just a warning for that happens. So, but other than that, the audiobook is great and I highly recommend it. But I'm just realizing now, like I said, the paperback has some photos in it apparently, but it also has maps. So that would have been useful to like understand where they were and exactly how things work. But yeah, get both. So anyway, that is my review of Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. 5 stars.